Hello and welcome to this India Today special. I'm Akshita Nandagopal, and joining me here in our studios is the cast and crew, the makers of Haq, a film that most journalists know is about the Shah Bano case. If you don't know about it, we're going to be talking about it over the next few minutes. So you'll get a sense of what to really expect in this film. It touches upon a very, very important, a very key moment really in India's history as well. But joining me here, we've got Imran Hashmi, we've got Yami Gautam and Suparn Varma, the director of the film. Thank you all very much for joining us.
Thank you.
Yami, I'd like to begin with you because to me, when I heard about the Shah Bano story, I thought it was about a woman's right, about, her fighting for her right and taking that up legally as well. But it's so much more than that in hindsight when I think of what had happened. What did you make of the story when you first heard of it?
I've studied law for a very, very brief time back in the day. And no law course is complete without learning about this landmark judgment of 1985, Shah Bano versus Ahmed Khan. And so now, cut to 2023-ish is when this role was offered to me. And, there are some moments in life where you feel it's like a deja vu, as if I'm still sitting in my law class somewhere and just, I was just... when the director and writer are talking so passionately, of course I'm listening, but there's also a side of you which has departed somewhere to the past. And but the subject being so powerful, so important, relevant being one thing, but how's the film? How's the script? I cannot ask my audience, we cannot just harp on the subject and say, please watch this film. It has to hold on its own.
You have to do justice to
it. Absolutely. It's some really heavy, literally, it's
a loaded issue.
It's a loaded issue, right? It's not something just आपने सोचा और आपने ऐसे subject पे film बना दी, right? There's a reason why this is still in subconsciously somewhere there in our minds. Definitely the generation who've seen this, especially the previous generations and even for us. And I think somewhere it's also important that the newer generation who perhaps maybe might not be that well versed what this case was about, I think it's important. It's important to know our history. It's important to know our political history, where we come from. And for different reasons. For me, I saw it as a great script, a template which I follow for any work, any film that I do. And I thought Suparn is extremely passionate. You'll get to know as the interview moves on, that how passionate he is about what he does, what he speaks, everything that he described about the film. I knew that it's in the right hands, and and as an artist, it's role literally of once in a lifetime kind of a situation where, first of all, it is a struggle to find good roles, right? And now good roles for women, right? I know we are trying, but I think the originality, the freshness, the depth, is something that at least I'm looking at when I'm doing a film, no matter what genre it is. And I thought, while the story takes us back to 1985 and that period, and yet it is still so relevant.
So true.
Right. I mean, I'm playing Shah Bano and he's Abbas Khan in the film. The film is inspired, not a biopic, but it encapsulates so-called, in some manner, the spirit of woman, the challenges about her dignity, about interpersonal relationships in today's time also. So for me, it was like every woman in some way or the other, or every man, finding themselves in Abbas and Shazia. And that way, I thought it's a very challenging film also to make. So good luck, Suparn. I don't know how. I got excited, but the next question was, okay, how do we do this?
If you said the script is done justice, I think that's, half the job done there, more than half the job, if you ask me. But, it's very relevant to today. You're right, Yami, in highlighting that, because I think that the current generation or the next gen, whichever way you want to call it, doesn't really know about this story. And I'm curious to know also, Imran, when did you really know about this case? Whether you knew about it even before this script came your way? And did the perception of the takeaway from this case change once you were done with the film?
It's an interesting question. I mean, I had known about the case on a surface level. I didn't know the ins and outs of it. I knew about the Shah Bano case because at that time I think I'd read it in the newspaper. I'd heard it from, not newspaper, I'd heard it from my dad, and I'd seen a documentary about it. But I think the details of it, the way it's been explored by Suparn and Reshu through the interpersonal relationship, through the divorce, the tussle that they have at home, I guess that is a little bit of a fictionalized bit which has been dramatized for screen. And finally, the thrilling court case, because the entire second half is the gamut of the Sessions Court, the High Court, and the Supreme Court, and them fighting it out. I think what was interesting for me in this, and my perception was, when I was offered the character of Abbas, he's very different from me as a person. Ideologically, just on paper, I didn't connect with the man at all. But then again, acting is about trying to understand these characters.
What to you was like, the sharpest contrast?
I think just where the place that he comes from, his background, his belief system. I think one similarity, I think this goes across the gamut with other people also. Everyone's been in a position where they have held on to such a staunch belief that they are right, and that righteousness somewhere has cost another person their point of view, in the sense you can't even put yourself in that person's shoe. So I think Abbas, in that sense, I've been in that situation, but I think I understood him through this film because he was fighting from his staunch belief in his personal faith, his interpretation of it. Yes, he could be seen somewhere as a great character also, because there's also this garb and this cloak of righteousness and hiding behind this perception of your tradition, which cost Bano her dignity ultimately, but she was vindicated by the court, by the verdict finally. Yeah, it was just a revelation of how it played out. And I think what I took home from there is just the emotional story of these two broken people. A man who is fighting for a staunch belief in his faith, this woman who's fighting for basic rights, dignity. And this goes across communities, across generations. I think everyone can extrapolate something from this. Yeah.
Suparn, I think we've highlighted and stressed on how this is such an important issue. It's also extremely sensitive. So, how do you play about that in ensuring that sentiments aren't hurt? Because that's a big part when you go into issues like this.
So I think, in a way, when I was making Sirf Ek Banda Kafi Hai, that became a great takeoff point to Haq, because I realized the more honest, the more truthful, the more fearless you are, the more straight you shoot. It's not about being left or right? You look straight ahead. And everybody likes the idea of truth, but truth is uncomfortable. Truth is painful. It's a very painful part to
Can be
walk.
controversial too.
Controversy is something you don't seek as a filmmaker, as an artist. You're trying to entertain first, right? And if there is a takeaway from it, great. If there isn't, that's okay. Don't bore me for those 2 hours. But here's the thing. When we were making the film, my biggest thing was this. I have grown up in a world where Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, Isai, hum sab hai, bhai bhai was the phrase, right? And I have some of my closest friends who are Muslims. My mentor was Feroz Khan. So for me, I have been friends and brethren with this community. And this is a world I wanted to deep dive in, because all my characters, I'm making a film about a Muslim community, right? An issue which is very intrinsic to them. I needed to understand it. We spent about 2-3 years understanding the legality of the situation, reading the Quran, talking to Islamic experts, because the idea was to find the right balance, the right understanding, at the same time weave in a very, very deeply emotional story. This is a world of a woman who married a man, fell in love with him, had his children, created an entire world around him, and one day it crumbled because he took his interpretation, which was normalized then, to bring in someone else. Till a point it came time for her dignity, is when she stood up and said, no more. And that's where her journey began. And the world got divided right there. So I think when you ask honest questions and give honest answers, you get something which is so dramatic, which resonates with audiences. I mean, touchwood, so far, everyone who's seen the trailer, everyone who's seen the teaser, and a lot of people have seen the film. They talk about the balance. They talk about the fact that it's not controversial. It's not propaganda. It is an honest, true to goodness film which will hit your heart and make you talk.
Just a final question because I've completely run out of time. Imran, on one hand, this is about gender, and we've spoken about that also. On the other, there will be questions about whether, this is about religion too. As Suparn said, it's about interpretation, and this could be interpreted either way. What would you say to anyone who says that, look, this is also about religion and one particular religion?
Well, I wouldn't say it is. It is. I mean, it just so happened that Shah Bano and Ahmed Khan belong to that religion. But like I said, everyone can take something back for themselves from this film. And it is not maligning, it is not pointing a finger at a community. I think testament to the fact that right now we have got a certification from UAE, which has cleared the film.
Okay.
Which
No
is
cuts,
no
nothing.
cuts. It's PG-15 over there. So I think for me as an artist, I want to see a film that takes back something positive. For me, it was a woman's journey, her fight for her dignity. That's what I'm taking back, and that's my point of view. That's my point of view from a progressive, liberal Muslim. Now, I can't take onus for other people when they go to the cinema hall because everyone has their cultural influences, everyone has their religious influences, and they'll see the film from that lens. But rest assured, I feel that at least Hamari Niyat Saaf Hai, the film that we have made, is a very unbiased take on the way the case played out, and it is pro-women. That's my takeaway.
This is about a legal fight, yes, but it's also about the emotional struggle of a woman, Yami. How much does the film actually deep dive into that, into the emotions also that she goes through, a whirlwind of emotions when, you're up against someone you've loved for so many years and you have to take this up legally as well?
Quite a lot, actually, to an extent that the risk of sounding immodest, if I may say, my own reaction after watching the film, and I watch my films very objectively. I've said this before also, multiple times.
There are many who refuse to watch their films, by the way.
No, I watch my films, and I was speechless. I was also moved.
Amazing.
Yes, and I think this is a film which will touch your heart, the right chord, regardless of your religious belief, regardless of your any belief or anything. This will touch you at a human level. That's my belief. So I think the film should do and would do the maximum talking, because I can go on and on and on as much as I would love to, but I think मुझसे ज़्यादा I think जो काम है और फिल्म है वो हमेशा शब्दों से ज़्यादा बोलनी चाहिए, and I've always believed in it. We believe that we've made a good film, a film with dignity and honor, a film for the audience, to entertain them, to engage them, and to also somewhere pave the way for the next generation to a little going back somewhere in time and getting, understanding something, taking away, whether it's the emotion, it's if anyone's curious, sometimes a student of, we're not here to preach anything. There's nothing technical there. It's all heart. But what I'm trying to say, there's a bit of everything for everyone in the film.
I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
To every single audience member, especially the ones you are saying that are new to this situation, Shah Bano is the OG badass.
I agree. And, I'm glad that the story is coming out. I always believe that the best way to educate people in this country is through films. So I'm glad that, they'll be able to hear of the story for those who haven't. All the very best for the release of Haq. Thank you very much for joining us here on India Today. Thank you.